Cheers Bar in Boston was more than just the setting for endless laughter. It was a vivid symbol of American television in the 1980s and 90s. But behind that glittering facade were tragedies no one expected. Many actors who helped create the show's legendary status passed away, suddenly taking with them painful secrets that fans never knew. In this article, we honor the stars of Cheers who are no longer with us, paying tribute to the legacy and unforgettable impact they left on screen. Nicholas Kolasanto as Ernie Coach Pantuso. Nicholas Kolasanto was born on January 19, 1924 in Providence, Rhode Island. A veteran American actor and television director, Kolasanto was 58 years old when he began playing Coach on Cheers, a late age for a breakout role, but he won audiences over within just a few episodes with his heartfelt, humorous, and warm performance. Before landing the role, he struggled with heavy drinking brought on by career stress. Fortunately, in 1976, Kolasanto joined Alcoholics Anonymous and courageously quit drinking. But the damage to his health was irreversible. In his final years, his health noticeably declined. Despite weight loss and repeated hospitalizations due to pleural effusion, he insisted on continuing his role as coach. Co-star Ted Dansen recalled how Kolasanto increasingly struggled to remember lines but never lost his cheerful spirit. He kept filming episodes into season 3 until doctors finally ordered complete rest after the Christmas break in 1984. On February 12, 1985, just weeks after leaving the show, Kolasanto died of a heart attack at his home in Los Angeles. He was 61 years old. His sudden death shocked the cast, crew, and millions of viewers across America who bid farewell to one of the most beloved TV characters of the era. At the time of his death, Kolasanto's net worth was around $500,000, including a modest home in Los Angeles and a few personal assets left to his family. Harry Anderson as Harry the Hat Gass. Harry Laverne. Anderson was born on October 14, 1952 in Newport, Rhode Island, when he appeared on Cheers in 1982 at the age of 30. Anderson played Harry the Hat Gass, a clever con artist with lightning wit who left audiences in stitches every time he showed up. Anderson's off-screen life was equally colorful, though not without turbulence. As a teenager, he roamed across America performing street magic before making it to national television. He married Leslie Pollock in 1977 and had 2 children, but the marriage ended after 22 years, leaving emotional scars. Later, he found love again with Elizabeth Morgan, a young bartender in New Orleans, where the two opened an eccentric shop selling magic and curiosities. Though he loved his craft and regularly performed his unique blend of comedy and magic, Anderson struggled with underlying depression, especially after Night Court ended. A quiet life in Asheville, North Carolina with his second wife couldn't fully ease the psychological shadows. Then came an unexpected blow. In late January 2018, he contracted a severe flu, which triggered a series of strokes. On April 16, 2018, Harry Anderson passed away peacefully in his sleep at the age of 65. At the time of his death, his net worth was approximately $1.5 million, including a peaceful home in Asheville and other modest assets, all left to his wife and 2 children. But the most valuable thing he left behind can't be measured in money. It was the inspiration he gave to millions who believed that imagination and a little bit of magic could make the world a better place. Kirsty Ally as Rebecca Howe. Kirsty Louise Ally was born on January 12, 1951, in Wichita, Kansas. She was best known for her role as Rebecca Howe in the iconic sitcom Cheers, which she played from 1987 to 1993, a role that earned her an Emmy and a Golden Globe in 1991 when Ally was 40 years old. As Rebecca Ally didn't just portray a character, she captivated America. But offstage, Kirsty Ally's life was marked by deep turmoil. She once revealed that she had become heavily addicted to cocaine, losing control of her life. After joining the Church of Scientology in 1979 and completing its Nar-Anon program, she successfully got clean. However, her strong ties to Scientology also damaged her public image. She was the only main cast member of Cheers who refused to appear in the spin-off Frasier, citing its themes related to psychiatry as the reason. Her first marriage to high school sweetheart Bob Ally lasted 6 years. Her second to actor Parker Stevenson ended bitterly after 14 years and 2 adopted children. Ally suffered a miscarriage and later became a grandmother in 2016. Beyond her film fame, Ally was a media icon, frequently appearing on reality shows like Dancing with the Stars, Celebrity Big Brother, and The Masked Singer. But while she smiled brightly on stage, behind the scenes, she waged a quiet battle with weight and illness. She lost nearly 100 pounds while representing Jenny Craig. But after leaving the program, she regained the weight, leading to harsh public backlash and a false advertising lawsuit. She paid $130,000 to settle and admitted the weight loss product was not as effective as advertised. The greatest tragedy in her life came in 2022. After months of hiding her condition, Ally was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. The disease progressed rapidly and aggressively. She passed away just 7 months later on December 5, 2022, at Moffitt Cancer Center in Florida at the age of 71. At the time of her death, Kirsty Ally had an estimated net worth of around $40 million, including high-value real estate in Florida and Oregon, along with private investments. Her children, now her heirs, held a private memorial and later sold her Los Angeles mansion, closing the final chapter. J. Thomas as Eddie LeBec. J. Thomas, born John Thomas Terrell, was born on July 12, 1948, in Kermit, Texas. He was a familiar face on American television throughout the 1980s and 90s. He rose to prominence playing Eddie LeBec in Cheers from 1987 to 1989, when Thomas was 39 years old. In the show, Eddie was a quirky hockey goalie and Carla's husband. His performance stood out for its humor and charm. Behind the laughs, though, was a complex personal life. J. Thomas had a son out of wedlock, J.T. Harding, whom he only reunited with years later through an emotional episode of the Doctor episode of Phil's show. He married Sally McKelson in 1987 and had 2 more sons. Though domestic life wasn't always smooth within the industry, he was known as sharp-talented and strong-willed. His career suffered a blow when his character Eddie LeBec was abruptly killed off. According to accounts, the reason was an offhand comment Thomas made about co-star Ria Pearlman during a radio show, which led producers to remove him from the cast. In his later years, Thomas was diagnosed with throat cancer, a condition he battled privately for a long time. Though he continued hosting The J. Thomas Show on Sirius XM and had ongoing professional plans, he couldn't see them through. On August 24, 2017, J. Thomas died in the arms of his family in Santa Barbara, California, at the age of 69. At the time of his passing, his net worth was estimated at around $3 million, including a home in Santa Barbara, private investments, and royalties from several television works. His estate was left to his wife and 3 sons, including J.T. Harding, now a successful songwriter in Nashville. Max Wright as Jim Fleiner. George Edward. Max Wright was born on August 2, 1943 in Detroit, Michigan. When he took on his role in 1986 at the age of 43, his character quickly became a television icon of the 1980s. But behind the laughter he delivered was a life filled with pain, tension, and ultimately a quiet end marked by illness. He once described the filming process as grim and dehumanizing, feeling like he was just a sidekick to a lifeless puppet for most of the show. The job took a toll on his mental health, and his relationship with cast members grew distant. When the show ended abruptly, Wright left the studio without saying goodbye or looking back. Off-screen, his personal life was no less troubled. Wright struggled with substance abuse, which derailed his stage career, strained his marriage, and destabilized his finances. His wife, Linda, whom he had been with since 1965, died of breast cancer in 2017. Her passing delivered another crushing blow to Wright's already fragile spirit, leaving his final years clouded by depression and solitude. Though he had once beaten lymphoma after successful treatment in 1995, The cancer returned in 2019. Wright died on June 26, 2019, at the age of 75 at the Lillian Booth Actors Home in New Jersey. His net worth was estimated at around $1 million, including a home in Hermosa Beach, California, left to his two children who had witnessed their father sway between fame and suffering. Keene Curtis as John Allen Hill. Keene Holbrook Curtis was born on February 15, 1923 in Salt Lake City, Utah. When he joined Cheers, Curtis was already 67 years old, but he quickly won over audiences with his distinct voice and commanding presence. His character added nuance, refinement, and sharp humor to the beloved show. In real life, though, Curtis didn't share much of the laughter. He never married, had no children, and spent most of his life in quiet solitude. To many, he was a dedicated actor appearing consistently on Broadway television and even animated films. But in his final years, Curtis was engulfed by long-term loneliness and a cruel disease, Alzheimer's. The illness slowly eroded his memory, speech, and even his sense of identity. The most tragic fate for an actor who lived through memory lines and emotion. In his final years, Curtis lived in a nursing facility in Bountiful, Utah, where he gradually lost the ability to recognize the roles that made him famous and even the people he once held dear. That slow and unstoppable decline made his death on October 13, 2002, one of the most sorrowful losses for those who admired him. Curtis passed away at the age of 79 with complications from Alzheimer's as the main cause. It was a heartbreaking end for an artist who once graced the Broadway stage, won a Tony Award, and lent his voice to iconic screen and animation roles. His net worth was estimated at $2 million, including real estate in Los Angeles and long-held investments. After his death, part of his estate was donated to Alzheimer's research, carrying on his legacy in the battle he could not win. Frances Sternhagen as Esther Klavan. Frances Hussey Sternhagen was born on January 13, 1930 in Washington, D.C. She joined Cheers in 1986 at the age of 56, playing Esther Klavan, the strict conservative, yet hilariously sharp mother of Cliff the bumbling Boston mailman. The role earned her 2 Emmy nominations and secured her a place in the hearts of viewers. Yet behind her acclaimed career was a life marked by loss. Her 35-year marriage to fellow actor Thomas A. Carlin ended with his death in 1991. She never remarried. From then on, Sternhagen lived quietly in her longtime home in New Rochelle, New York, spending much of her time with grandchildren, but always carrying a quiet solitude. Frances Sternhagen passed away on November 27, 2023, at the age of 93. Her death marked the close of a significant chapter in Broadway and American television history. Her net worth was estimated at around $1 million left to her descendants. But what mattered more than material wealth was the legacy she left behind. The image of an intelligent, resilient, and profoundly artistic woman. Roger Ree as Robin Collard. Roger Rees was born on May 5, 1944 in Aberystwyth, Wales. When he began appearing on Cheers in 1989 at the age of 45, he played Robin Colcord, a suave, wealthy English businessman with a cunning mind. Though a supporting role, his performance left a lasting impression thanks to his charm and sharp wit. But behind the scenes, Rees's life wasn't smooth. Born into a working-class family, he grew up modestly and only stumbled into acting when he filled in for a role while working as a backdrop painter. Throughout his career, he constantly balanced passion and responsibility, especially when he was diagnosed with brain cancer in late 2014, just as he was preparing for the Broadway musical The Visit. Despite undergoing 2 surgeries, radiation, and chemotherapy, Rees stayed on stage until he lost the ability to speak in May 2015. Rather than retreat, he chose to perform to the end, a testament to his love of the craft and his refusal to surrender. More tragically, he and longtime partner Rick Illis were only able to marry in 2011 after more than 30 years together, and illness stole their remaining time. Roger Rees died on July 10, 2015, at his home in New York at the age of 71. Broadway dimmed its lights for 1 minute in his memory. Though he left behind a net worth of roughly $5 million to his husband and longtime collaborator, his greatest legacy was a lifelong devotion to art and a collection of dreams that never had time to finish. George Wendt as Norm Peterson. George Robert Wendt Jr. was born on October 17, 1948. He rose to fame playing Norm Peterson on the NBC sitcom Cheers, 1982-1993, a role that earned him 6 consecutive Primetime Emmy nominations for Outstanding Supporting Actor. Wendt's career began humbly at the Second City in Chicago, where he started by sweeping the stage. It was there that he met Bernadette Burkett, who would become his wife, and also the voice of Vera Norm's never-seen wife on Cheers. At Second City, Wendt overcame his academic struggles and found salvation in the arts. Though he was known for his humorous character, Wendt's real life had its darker moments. In the 1990s, he struggled with alcoholism, a problem he openly acknowledged. "I used Norm's smile to hide my own loneliness," he said in a 2006 interview. His years of heavy drinking led to emotional and physical decline, requiring multiple stints in rehab. In his later years, Wendt lived a relatively private life with his wife and 3 children. He took on a few small television projects and appeared on The Masked Singer in 2023, a humorous farewell of sorts. However, his health had noticeably declined. On May 20, 2025, George Wendt died in his sleep at his Los Angeles home at the age of 76. His passing deeply saddened fans and colleagues alike, especially his Cheers co-stars who called him the warmest heart behind the bar. Peggy Post as Heather Landon. Peggy Post, born Margery Armstrong Post, was born on November 4, 1950, in Palo Alto, California. In 1983, when she was 33 years old, Markey appeared on Cheers as Heather Landon, a charming friend of Diane Chambers. Her wit and charisma caught attention and led to starring roles in Night Court, The Fall Guy, and Hearts of Fire. Her personal life was relatively peaceful. After a brief early marriage to Stephen Knox, she married actor and writer Michael A. Ross. They had 2 daughters and lived quietly far from the chaos of Hollywood. But real turmoil arrived when Post was diagnosed with cancer. Instead of stepping back, she continued acting voiceover work and fan appearances as if nothing had changed. Her resilience inspired peers. Many had no idea she was suffering. The illness wore her down over several years, but she never quit or lost her joy for life. On August 7, 2021, she passed away at her Los Angeles home at the age of 70. Peggy Post left behind an estimated $12 million, including a home in Los Angeles, and various investments, all entrusted to her husband and 2 daughters. Kevin Conroy as Daryl Mead. Kevin Conroy was born on November 30, 1955. When he appeared on Cheers in 1989 as Daryl Mead, he was just 34 years old. A brief guest role, but one that brought him closer to television audiences before he became the voice of the Dark Knight for 3 decades. Behind that iconic voice, though, was a life filled with silent pain. Conroy grew up in a troubled family. His alcoholic father attempted suicide while Conroy was still in high school. That trauma turned him into a withdrawn child who had to live with family friends just to finish school. As an adult, he kept his sexuality hidden, fearing exclusion from the entertainment industry. He was turned down for roles simply because he was gay, a wound that cut deep but quietly. Still, he chose to fight back. He came out in a time when being openly gay in Hollywood was still highly stigmatized. His autobiographical story, Finding Batman, which he wrote himself, won the prestigious Eisner Award. Conroy said that to voice Batman, he simply reached into his own pain. The final challenge came near the end: colorectal cancer. He fought it silently, still attending comic conventions and recording Batman in Suicide Squad. Kill the Justice League despite his failing health. It was the last gift he gave to fans. Kevin Conroy passed away on November 10, 2022, at Mount Si Hospital in New York just weeks before his 67th birthday. His estimated net worth of $2 million, including a modest home in New York, was left to his longtime partner Vaughn C. Williams. Ted Dansen as Sam Malone. Ted Dansen was born on December 29, 1947 in San Diego, California. When he started Cheers in 1982, Dansen was just 35 years old, and the character Sam Malone transformed him from an unknown TV actor into an American cultural icon. Despite his on-screen success, Dansen's real life was far from smooth. In 1993, at the height of his fame, he was at the center of a major scandal after appearing in blackface at a roast honoring his then-girlfriend, Whoopi Goldberg. Though Goldberg publicly defended him, the backlash was intense and severely damaged his public image. Adding to the controversy, his high-profile relationship with Goldberg indirectly led to one of Hollywood's most expensive divorces. Dansen paid around $30 million to settle his divorce from second wife Casey Coates, a producer who had suffered a stroke shortly after giving birth to their first child, requiring Dansen's care for years. In 1995, he married actress Mary Steenbarren, his co-star in Pontiac Moon, and their marriage has remained strong ever since. Together, they've become known for their political activism, environmental work, and ocean conservation efforts. As of 2025, at age 78, Ted Dansen remains active in entertainment. He recently starred in A Man on the Inside on Netflix and launched a podcast with Woody Harrelson called Where Everybody Knows Your Name. With an estimated net worth of $80 million, Dansen owns properties in Los Angeles and maintains a stable portfolio built over decades of work in film advertising and voiceover. Ria Pearlman as Carla Tortelli. Ria Jo Pearlman was born on March 31, 1948 in Brooklyn, New York. In 1982, when she was 34 years old, she took on the role of Carla Tortelli, the sharp-tongued, sarcastic waitress in Cheers. The role earned her 4 Emmy Awards and made her a TV icon throughout the show's 11-season run. Off-screen, Pearlman's life was far less lighthearted than her character's quips. She married actor Danny DeVito in 1982, and the couple raised 3 children together. For years, they were considered one of Hollywood's golden couples. But in 2012, after more than 3 decades together, they separated for the first time. A brief reconciliation followed, but they separated again in 2017. This personal upheaval coincided with her stepping away from regular TV roles, focusing instead on stage work, voice acting, and writing children's books. She later described that time as quiet, but filled with change. By 2025, Ria Pearlman is 77 years old, living in Beverly Hills, and often retreating to her home in New Jersey for peace and privacy. She remains close friends with Davidito, whom she still calls family, even if no longer a partner. Her estimated net worth is around $60 million, largely from Cheers' various TV and film projects and shared real estate with DeVito. John Ratzenberger as Cliff Clavin. John Deso Ratzenberger was born on April 6, 1947 in Bridgeport, Connecticut. In 1982, when he was 35 years old, he made TV history with his role as Cliff Clavin, the know-it-all mailman with a heart of gold on Cheers. The role earned him 2 Emmy nominations and established the pop culture archetype of the overly confident trivia expert. Outside the spotlight, Ratzenberger's life was more grounded. He lived in London for over a decade, working various jobs before breaking into theater and film. His first marriage to Georgia Steiny lasted 20 years and produced 2 children, but ended in divorce in 2004. The quiet end of that relationship surprised many, given his outspoken support for traditional family values. In 2012, he remarried Julie Blichfeld, and the couple remains together. Ratzenberger's career didn't end with Cheers. When Pixar began to rise, he became their unofficial good luck charm, voicing characters like Ham the Piggy Bank in Toy Story Mac, the truck in Cars, and the Underminer in The Incredibles. However, after Pixar co-founder and his close friend John Lasseter left the company, Ratzenberger's roles dwindled. He openly criticized post-Laser Pixar films as bad and too political, which led to some estrangement in left-leaning Hollywood circles. As of 2025, he is 78 years old, still doing voice work and running small business ventures. He lives with his wife in Washington. His estimated net worth is around $50 million, stemming from Cheers Pixar and Eco-AC, a biodegradable packaging company he co-founded in the late 1980s. The stars of Cheers left behind an immortal legacy, but their real-life tragedies still leave us stunned. Though the Boston bar now lives only in memory, their laughter echoes on. Which character did you love most? Share your thoughts and help us honor these legends.